Hey, what's up, guys? All right, so admittedly, this week's chapter of Black Clover was kind of short. It was basically a easy read. It was like a quick read chapter. Not much to it. I mean, there was a decent amount of action compared to the way that the chapter was paced and the our pages we got. But for the most part, this was like a 5 minute read at the most. Like I got through it in like 5 minutes. Although, even though it was a quick read, I will admit that this chapter actually did its purpose. It served its purpose well, and which that purpose was basically to introduce to us the way that Asta is going to be able to cure the elves and turn them back into normal people. Okay, so the chapter picks off pretty much where the last one left off, where Asta and Yuno are facing off against the elf that's attacking their home village. And we see the two of them actually fight off against the guy for a little bit until Asta realizes that basically the father that raised the two of them is kind of laid out on the ground dying at this point. So he leaves the fight to go try to use his Demon Slayer sword in order to cure the guy or get rid of magic effects on him, while Yuno basically faces off against the elf by himself. But what happens is when we see Asta actually try to use the Demon Slayer sword on the father, we find out that it doesn't work because the magic that was actually used on the father is actually gone, leaving behind only the poison effects. In fact, that's actually was the case for all the villagers that were actually attacked by this guy up until this point. And Asta's kind of worried. He's like, all right, well, I don't know what to do now because this sword is my only, hope at this point. And actually, after he starts to freak out a little bit and try to realize, all right, I'm kind of screwed, that's when his new sword that he actually got from Lich, I think 2 chapters ago, that's when it actually appears out of nowhere from his grimoire. And once Asta grabs it, it starts to absorb the magic effect or the poison effects from not only the father, but from every villager that's been poisoned by the magic plant guy up to this point. And actually, it goes from being like rusty, kind of all black, to basically being full black at this point. And this is when we find out that this magic sword actually has the ability to negate magical effects or effects from magical abilities. Now, this is actually pretty important, and I actually want to go over real quick exactly what each sword that Asta has had throughout the entire series can do before I explain why this is important to the current arc. Alright, so with his Demon Slayer sword, we know that it has the ability to basically deflect magic using its flat side in Asta's hands. His Demon Dweller sword, which is actually a sword that Lich stole from him 2 chapters ago, actually has the ability, when in Asta's hands, to borrow magical powers from his allies. Now, in Lich's hands, it actually has the ability to absorb magic attacks thrown at him from his opponents and direct them right back at them. Now, Asta's new sword, which up until this point does not have a name at all, so for now I'm just going to call it the Demon Negator sword, we find out in this chapter that it has the ability to negate effects caused by magic. Now, this is actually really important for this current arc and for the future of the series. And the reason why this ability is so important is because basically, as we see near the end of the chapter, after Asta rejoins the fight, that when he uses this ability on the elf, it turns that elf back into a normal person. It takes away the elf spirit and basically negates the reincarnation magic. Now, this actually is huge implications for the rest of the series because, alright, we already know that if an elf or a human that's being controlled by an elf at this current point actually comes in contact with someone they have a strong connection to, then that connection might be able to break the spell and actually gain the person recontrol their body. So that's going to work with characters like Gouch, who, if he sees his sister, he's got that strong connection between the two of them, will reunite the human inside of him. But when it comes to characters that we don't know that much about or haven't really spent that much attention to, and actually we don't have any real we don't know anyone who has an actual connection to them, it's basically going to come down to Asta using his negate sword to negate the effects of the reincarnation magic to turn them back into normal people. Now, at first when I saw this, I was kind of a little disappointed that we found the cure-all be-all for this whole elf thing so early on into the war against the elves and humans. But then I realized, well, this really is only going to affect the people who are like fodder, the characters that we don't really care that much about, and like I said, we don't know any connections they have up to this point. But when it comes to characters like Luck, as we see at the end of the chapter, Luck's actually about to go up against Magna and Vanessa. And we know that basically Asta's not going to jump in to save the day and turn Luck back into a normal human from that fight. So it's going to come down to basically Magna and Luck's connection, because as we've seen throughout the entire series, basically the two of them kind of become best friends. They're kind of like, rivals and best friends up until this point. And it's basically going to be Luck's connection to Magna that turns him back into a normal human. And that's basically what it comes down to. Asta's basically going to be taking his sword to basically turn the elves that we don't care about back into normal people. While the characters we actually care about, like Luck and Gouch, we'll actually see the struggle of them trying to retake control of their bodies through the connection that they have with other people. Another interesting thing we actually got out of this chapter is that we see the elf actually kind of freak out a little bit and start to go crazy after he realizes that our Yuno is actually a human who took control of his body after being turned into an elf, and that Asta actually has Lich's sword. After he realizes those two things, he starts to freak out a little bit and he starts to go insane and starts to, lose control of his body and his soul. And this is when Yuno actually kind of mentions that if it continues, if they don't do something about this elf, then it's not going to be an elf anymore. He's going to turn into something different. Now, it's pretty much been confirmed as far as I can remember that Lich actually turned into that giant demon that the first Magic Emperor pretty much fought against. So if the elves have the ability to turn to demons when they lose control of their bodies or lose control of themselves, this actually could be something we actually could see later on in the series where, like, say an elf starts to lose control of their body before Asta can actually turn it back into a normal human, then we might actually see a new demon appear from one of these elves. Now, I don't think that's actually going to happen throughout the arc, but it actually would be pretty interesting to see a demon show up for them to fight on top of the elves. But that's pretty much it for the chapter. I'm actually really excited for next week's chapter because I've actually been predicting for a while now, not on video, but I've been predicting in my head for a while now that basically it's going to be Magna who's going to be the one to turn Luck back into a normal person. So I'm interested to see how that actually goes down, the fight between Magna and Vanessa versus Luck, to see how the two of them kind of progress since the last time we actually saw them fight. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm really excited for it. Can't wait to see what happens next. But that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. Comment down below with your thoughts and theories, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.